This is Jumpstand Podcast. It's a casual conversation series about IT, AI, digital and technology, and the people who make it work. And my name is Kat, and today our guest is Iulia Rinea. She is a software and data engineer specializing in scalable data and ML platforms with professional strengths in data mesh and cloud distributed systems. Well, literally, I just read it, Iulia, and the thing is that was generated by the AI and asked by ChatGPT, who is actually Iulia Rinea, and that what was brought online. And I'm just curious if it fits exactly the explanation what you are doing, what you are focusing right now. And if it's not, let's discuss everything you know about that.
Hi, Kat, and thanks again for the invite. I would say it's fitting. Not sure if that's the case anymore with the current state, because I'm more focused right now on building machine learning platforms, like really AI infrastructure. But of course, working on distributed systems was part of my past job and my last job, and then also I've worked in other setups with distributed systems as well. So I would say that's sort of accurate.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Then. Well, as I explained before, right, we had a conversation before about the podcast itself and the concept. The main idea is to talk about digital things and different type of tools, IT tools especially, in a more simple way, because I'm not a professional on the technical side. I'm more like strategic business partner and the salesperson. So for me, it was always interesting to work with the engineers, close to engineers of different types and different industries. At the point of booming of AI technologies and so on, of course, it's quite curious to talk to professionals like you with a long experience, and especially with your new company that you joined recently, which I want to also to hear, and I want everyone who listens to us also to hear about it. If from the beginning you can start just explaining what do you do, which company you are hired by, and what is actually in your responsibilities so far, that would be great. Just go with the flow.
Right. So I'm working now for AI Factory Austria, which is basically the national hub for building AI infrastructure. So it enables, development and also encourages innovation in this area. So the question is what we are providing here. That's basically high-performance computing, AI consulting, so experts, as I said, on innovation, startups, helping startups, companies, public institutions, integrating AI into their businesses.
Okay, so you said it's like building up an AI infrastructure, right? But it's not only non-profit organizations. We're talking about the corporations and different commercial organizations in this case, right?
It's an initiative by European Union.
Okay.
There are multiple AI factories in Europe. I think the number is 18, but I'm not sure about it because a lot of countries are still joining. The point is to so it's funded by European Union under the Euro HPC framework, and it's basically providing very good initiatives for companies, or from free to low cost integration of AI to startups.
How does it usually look like? So startups are coming over, right? They are asking for the support of European initiative of that, right? You're like a professional. Who are you there? Is a data engineer? Is an AI developer? Who are you exactly? Because we always talk about infrastructure. For me, it's kind of like a global way of how things work.
Right.
Because there should be a legal part. There should be, of course, competence on the legal side of how AI works. There should be a framework for different type of industries, right? You should understand which industry is the first comma at the stage of AI integration. And there should be maybe some processes implementation group, which actually does the work for the others, right? How does it look like? Are you subcontractors, or you just come from the European Union initiative and you say that's the way you should do that, and you should do that anyhow?
Right.
So you kind of like forced.
So basically, companies or startups are coming to us. Important to say here is that multiple institutions from Austria are involved in this project.
That's good.
So just to give you some examples, the Austrian Institute of Technology, Technical University of Vienna, so the Austria's HPC Institute, and other many more institutions that are helping companies to basically not only understand or provide infrastructure, which is the case for me. So my role is basically to build the technical part of providing computation for startups. So if you want to run any model, if you want to do AI, right, you need computation power. And right now that is costly, right? You go for the main vendors and you get there the APIs to get the AI capabilities you want to get, right?
Yeah.
So we are basically doing that. So just for you to grasp a little bit, what's our aim here is what OpenAI provides for us to provide it as well, or Google or other vendors. So one part of what we are doing is provide this computation power.
Okay. What does it mean, computation power? So basically the execution itself, right?
Hardware and software.
This is interesting. So basically, if I'm a startup, I've got a great idea, but I don't have a force to implement it or to realize that. I can come over with my idea to the government, right? And apply for this type of grants or for this type of support. And the European Union will support me with the team if they think that my idea is okay or good, right? So with the team which actually can provide all the hardware and software if needed, right? Develop the software.
Yes, but we are not providing software for companies to build their products. We are not helping them to build their products, but we are offering them a platform where they can come and run their already existing products.
Okay.
But what we are providing, that's why I said it, my job is to take care of the infrastructure, so building that platform so they can come and get whatever they need from us in terms of deploying their AI models. Beside that, we are also doing consulting. So there are AI experts that help you with your needs. They help you understand if you can really integrate AI into your existing business, into your existing product, and especially for startups to understand what are the consequences. So
that's interesting.
We are also providing AI trustworthy legal advices, but also in terms of technical consulting, if it's feasible or not, whatever they want to build, because there are a lot of startup ideas that are amazing, but sometimes not that easy to implement.
Absolutely. That's interesting that you also mentioned that you are explaining the consequences of the AI integration. It's really interesting. And you pointed out, are there some special consequences which are covering the most of the businesses? Do you have anything that you can share from the legal, just specifically legal perspective? Yeah.
So as far as I know, but probably you'll find more in the future when we will open our own products, because what we plan to do is provide what we provide as services, right? And one of the service is these consequences or the legal part of integrating AI into your systems, which is sort of kind of a framework that we want to open for the public, and that's basically based on the EU AI Act.
Okay.
And by the end of the day, the long story short is that companies need to be compliant to that.
Okay. Well, makes sense. Completely makes sense. So, it's very nice that they're standardizing that more and more, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go to the normal life. I'm just curious, how you would explain actually the role of data engineer. Because I talked to my colleague and my partner who was explaining me a lot on the difference between data engineering and data science. And for me, of course, it's all one funnel. It's all about data, right? And how to analyze, how to, first of all, collect the right data, what is the right data for the companies and so on. That was a big topic. We also discussed the analyzing process, how to actually apply new tools to that. But we will get to that. So my question is, how can you actually explain what data engineering is and what data science is? What is the difference in, and actually how the spectrum can affect different type of businesses?
Yeah, sure. So I would say that definition of data engineering would be getting the data, transforming the data, and loading it to different systems.
I'm sorry for interrupting. So transforming, you mean to filter it somehow or shape it?
For example, filter it would be one kind of transformation. You want to aggregate the data. You want to do certain operations on it. That would mean transforming it.
Okay.
And then you load it to specific systems where users can visualize it, for example. Just a short note here. After you load the data to a system, then there comes the data analyst that basically, can do visualizations and handles the data analytics part. But what happens in the whole, if you wanna imagine the data engineering as a pipe,
yeah,
who's doing, everything what comes in the pipe,
correct.
Whatever happens there, he's gonna do the handling, and then putting the pipe to the perfect, whole system that can be used by the others.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the visual, you mean, of the work of the data engineering.
Exactly. I would say that for people to understand it better, of course, there are, other functionalities of such a role. I would say that mostly they handle all these data transformations. This is the most challenging part, and getting the data, because I think the most problematic part of a company is, the data scarcity. And we don't have a problem with big data anymore. We have the storage for that, but it's very hard to really understand what's going on in the company, getting the right data, understanding the quality of it. And you as a data engineer, you are not the owner of it, right? You don't produce it. You're just getting it. And it's kind of, it's hard to really do the correct transformations and understand the data so that you can build reliable systems based on it, or not systems, but pipelines, I would say, based on that, so that people can really benefit out of your transformations. So, for example, I would give you an example so that you can understand better. You have operational data, right? That's produced by your systems, operational systems, and then you want to get some analytics for business purposes.
Right.
In order for you to do that, you will need to make some transformations on your operational data, because you need, for example, certain. I don't know how to count how many events you have, the occurrence of those events. If you miss some, you had some errors and so on, you need to count that. And that's, for example, a data transformation. You need to count the number of errors that your system produced. And then those numbers of errors, they need to go into a system like, so the data about the data is part, for example, part of the data engineering job, to really understand what your data provides you, and if you can make a business value out of it and get business decisions. How do you do that? For example, visualizing it, or putting the data or getting the data to the right people, to the right business people that are not able to get the data. And of course, you can also do data engineering on the operational system itself. So whatever data is produced, you will need to, again, do transformations, get it to the right people so they can, benefit out of each other and communicate to each other.
Do you remember from your really long experience already, because you started from the technical position, right, and you're still there? Do you remember any real case which actually where the data engineering work or data analysis made a huge difference for the company? Absolutely, really big one. Do you remember that? Because I understand it's kind of like daily work. Yeah. Of course, you've got a little bit of input here, a little bit of input there. It's probably project-based business or project-based work within one company or many organizations, it doesn't matter. But still, do you remember any impressive case that you can share, or the project that you allowed to share, where data engineering really made a difference or a boost or a push for the company?
Yeah. So I would just, because you also mentioned in the beginning, I'll go again you mentioned data mesh, which is basically decentralized architecture for getting the data. And I think what we did is to be able to understand how the data looks like in the company. Why did we want to do that? Is to get business value out of it, to really the business making decisions based on the data existing in the company.
It usually has a lot of mistakes also, right? Because one thing, machinery works, right? And you can read it through just and compare some figures or results. But the other thing, it's when, for example, the information or data created by other people or input of other people, there is a lot of mess. We discussed that during our education also, that there is a lot of data that just created by people which might be fake. So that's the question, how to filter that, how to...
Exactly. So I think one of the biggest changes or also challenges, but then I think it improved a lot, was to realize, or us as data engineers, realizing how bad the data was, and really start improving that process, in the company. And
how did you improve it? How did you fix it? Or at least marginal fix it? I hope that it was not marginal, but still, how did you fix it eventually?
So there are, just for a short, we cannot properly fix it by changing the operational system that produces.
That's
but
clear.
Communication, mostly communication with
really convincing people. So basically, we're convincing people to.
We are convincing people. We are, everybody's working towards the same goal.
Right.
So you cannot, there are not people that can change whatever they want, especially on the technical side. Whatever their role is, there are owners of their own systems, right? So even if you realize that their system might have problems, you're not able to fix it yourself. So you have to communicate with that. And especially as data engineers, it's important to really keep in touch with everybody. Communicate with everybody, and make sure everybody understands their data. Because there is the problem of technical, and especially developers, I don't think they appreciate data that much. They appreciate code as data, if you can say that, just as a joke, but they don't really think about it.
Interesting. Well, we are coming actually to the next question. If you've got in your work any type of obstacles or the problems between different departments, right? Because it's always it's kind of like working in the restaurant. The kitchen is always against the hall or the main room of service. And I believe at different corporations at work, it's more or less the same. So let's say it that way. I will not call it bottleneck, but where usually do you put the most of effort to convince actually people? Which department it's usually between the engineering, like data engineering or data people, and developers, or it's or maybe owners? Where is this? Do you have any complexities on the way? Let's have an honest conversation, because I'm curious about all these rumors, at work.
Yeah, I think I just started with the first argument. So developers. So I think that's one of the biggest problems in this perspective, towards this perspective. So I was so it's not only about the data itself, but also the understanding the business.
Yeah.
And if we are going to talk about the technical part, building systems doesn't require only technical knowledge. It requires or hard skills. It requires soft skills, understanding the business, being able to make decisions even on low technical point, and really, if you want to make a decision, be able to communicate that and be able to
introduce it, right?
Yeah,
Convince
exactly.
people.
Exactly, introduce it. And it's just, I think that's the main problem. And then from my past experiences, sometimes middle management, people don't really some people don't really understand the technical part, how hard or easy it is to implement something.
Right.
And then, it's just, I think there is still quite of a big gap between the technical world and the business world.
Well, again, your specialization fits in my reality, in my world, to the technical part. It's still kind of a part of the technical. And I understand, of course, that communication is always the key. Probably not everyone has these soft skills, let's say that way, right? And the other way around, maybe technical people, they might not have the soft skills. The people who are from sales or maybe business development, they've got a little bit more, but they are not going into the details. I can understand that. But still, what you're explaining to me, it's more that data people, they are also struggling with the fact that there is some more technical people which don't understand the business in the broader kind of like scale, which is interesting, to be honest. Because for me, it would be more probably problem of your profession or your specialization, because for me, it's very technical. I really see a lot of course, statistics, math there, right wording and so on. It's quite detailed. So it's a lot of effort from that side. But it's interesting that you pointed it out. It's kind of like an opening for me, for sure. Well, I've got the big, actually, question, because it touches quite a big topic. We were discussing a lot recently the fact that there are not that many women in the technical positions. And things are not changing. You've got the feeling that they are changing a lot, and females they look more and more in this direction. But statistics has different figures, unfortunately. So my question is to you personally: why did you decide to go technical? Why did you decide to go with this profession? What was your motivation, inner motivation for that?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
It's a challenge. Yeah, I understand it's a challenge for sure.
And also kind of deep frustration sometimes, because I would really love to see more women in this field and have more women as colleagues. But I've started this journey by really loving mathematics and physics and technical fields, STEM, maybe in the beginning. And then at some point, I've started really learning algorithms when I was in high school. And finding out that that's very enjoyable to solve problems, especially when you have an input, you see already the output, you are able to manipulate that. So it's not abstract anymore. So I really started to love that. I wasn't thinking that much that there are not that many women in this field, or it might be difficult for me to succeed. I wasn't thinking at all. But at some point, after going to studies and doing software engineering and so on, I saw that sometimes it's so difficult to connect to my colleagues.
Okay.
I'm myself an introvert, so sometimes it was, even more difficult because the topics were very hard to understand in terms of there were very boyish things they were discussing that I couldn't necessarily relate to it, but also after getting a job and starting working, my frustration was that, it's not fair that women are not encouraged to go and, perceive such technical careers. So I would have loved to have, more, especially in management and so on, to have more roles, female roles, where I can look up to and say, okay, that's my aim. And sometimes I felt, but maybe it was, only the stigmatization of the subject. But I was thinking sometimes, okay, maybe, that's not. This is not my place. What if I was not, this and that? Sometimes I was thinking about it, and that's why I said that the subject probably has a lot of frustration behind. I don't think that it's harder for women to get here. Mm-hmm. I don't think so, but I think it's sometimes scary because you don't see enough women, and then you think about, maybe that's not for us. Maybe we can do something else, which is a pity, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that. So it's interesting that you pointed out that you didn't feel to be encouraged much, because different people, they bring different reasons for that. As from the statistics, I would say for you probably it's an interesting split in general, because you can analyze that pool in a different way. Yeah. You can analyze it based on the feature of the gender difference for sure, but there are too many sub-questions, right, that should be answered or analyzed through. So I was always wondering, why is that the matter, right? Because there are many smart girls, of course, who are very good in math also and can be driven with that during the school time. But something is changing at the last decision, and the split goes such a weird way. Weird. It's, again, my personal opinion about things. I know that there are many people who think differently, but generally, I was never thinking to go in this direction. And sometimes I question myself if it's not a problem, but if the matter is hidden behind the fact that I was never encouraged or I was never associating myself with that, right? What if I would? Maybe it would be absolutely different. But I decided to go a little bit different way from the very beginning, because maybe that what was reflecting from the society I was raised in. So yeah, it's a big topic and it's coming more and more there. I also, I'm very eager to support women in the business in general, women as CEOs, owners, and so on. I would love to have more and more people in the technical positions also. Not because I'm against men, no, but I just want to even it a little bit. I think it's the right way to do that, and there are really many bright women who can actually make an amazing input. Okay, let's go, and thank you for that. That's really important topic, and I will be bringing it up, trust me, with all the speakers here, all great. The interviewees. I'm curious about their opinion on that. Okay, let's go with the next question. What do I have here? So, speaking about the data-driven companies. So many companies say they are data-driven. From your personal experience, what does that usually mean in practice? Because I know, of course, that there are many businesses just open up as the support of services like data analysis and so on. But some of the companies, they only survive on the fact that they process the data very, very fast. What does it actually mean in general to be data-driven, in your opinion?
I think that there is a definition, right? So data is a first-class citizen in your company, which means that how you treat the data is with very much care. In terms of you really look at it, analyze it, and see what's missing, how do you collect it, how do you store it, how can you benefit out of it, right? And benefiting out of data, it's, I think, the really key here, because a lot of companies, they aim to be like, or they already are data driven, but how much they benefit out of data, it's another question. So being data driven means you make business decisions based on data. And some of the companies are also building new, or providing new business models that are data based. Yeah. They are selling their data and so on. So I would say that's another level of being sort of data driven. But I think the most important point is here to make business decision based on data.
Yeah, well, that's the most complex, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here. I understand that. So everyone is talking about AI readiness. How ready is it, actually? How do you feel it's coming into this reality world? When you're using that, or you are providing this type of services also by developing it and so on, how ready is AI? Because the transition was extremely fast in the last years.
Right. I think that's a difficult question, because I think people perceive it as more ready than it really is.
Okay.
I think we need to realize a little bit that it's still in the research phase. But it doesn't mean that you cannot do some great things with it. I think it really makes the work, or puts the work on steroids.
Yeah.
For certain people, for certain roles, certain jobs. Physical ones is much harder, the ones that have physical jobs. But for digital tasks, it's, very, very beneficial. How ready it is in that part, it's still, I would say, I'm not sure what people expect, or when do you really reach the readiness, but if you consider it as a technology that leverages, speed and really brings innovation in certain dimensions of your work, and I think it's quite there. Let's take, for example, developers, right? So already for coding, it speeds up your work, and I'm not talking about, writing your code fully with AI, which people might imagine nowadays. We are not doing that, but it really helps us move faster.
Right.
Write code faster. The human in the loop is still there. You need to validate everything, because we are building systems on production. And you cannot just use AI for serving the customer on a production setup. It's risky, and it's still probabilistics, statistics. You need to really understand that, and then measure how far you want to go in integrating it, or not hiring developers anymore, and instead use AI agents to write your code. Do you really afford that for your business, or is it enough?
Not money.
Probably. I mean, the answer is certainly no. But if you have a great idea and you want to build a prototype, there you have your tool. Build it. You can do that.
So it's all about efficiency so far. You also see that it's kind of Okay.
Optimization efficiency.
Right, but it also can optimize, and it will optimize multiple professions in the future, right?
Exactly.
So the question is how far we're gonna go there, because right now we're talking that the real person should be standing there, right, behind the scenes and check all the results and so on. And if we take the real case, for example, in different shops right now, we've got this cashier who is like really device, right? And you are a cashier of your own shopping basket or something, right? And it's getting more developed. So instead of like 5 people having there working for you as cashiers, you are doing that on your own. And basically there is only one person right now. So we're reducing the spots. I also see it, of course, in the more high or advanced positions. If we're talking about even technical specializations, that the quantity of people is going to be reduced. As right now, you alone can control much more functions or many departments, right, than before. However, the question is the speed. The question is how far this transition is going to happen and where these specialists will go. What the ones who are not there anymore, what they're going to do, right? How the company or maybe the government even support them in this transition, that's the question. But it's an interesting point that, everyone agrees that it makes your life more efficient, your daily life also, I believe, as using different tools for sure. But the
absolutely.
Development phase is on a high speed, for sure. It's many platforms right now appearing there.
Right. But we just have to realize what it really is as a technology and not overestimate it, Also, probably some of us underestimate it. But, of course, I see the trend that people are overestimating it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
Okay, let's go to the personal questions. I like them the most. My question is, what actually you enjoy the most in your work? What you like about what you're doing today?
That's the question is that, the answer is probably working really on a technical level. I like working with people, but I really, need to have my own space and build things and see them used by others. I think that's what makes me happy at the moment. I really like using cutting edge technologies. Like really, I see, some things that are very, in pioneering word, let's say. I really like touching them, use them, implement things on them. So right now, doing machine learning, working a lot with artificial intelligence, even if it starts to be a little bit of a buzzword, I really like, see what we can really do with it. Mm-hmm. And I really do see benefits out of it. So I really like to see how people use it and help them do that, actually.
This is great. This is a really bright goal for sure for work. That's nice. Very motivating. Well, let's talk about future and the future expectations. As a professional in your area, what would you recommend to the companies of different types, what they should focus on in the following 2-3 years? Because we're still in transition. Transition is going to go, and I still got a lot of people I know who actually don't use any type of LLMs, still not, and I don't understand how they are surviving without a ChatGPT, for example, because it's really ridiculous. I don't spend a day without it anymore. But there are still some people who are working on different positions in big companies. They don't do that, and they don't use this help, which is I don't know if it's encouraging or upsetting, because I've got two different feelings about that, right? However, if we're talking about business, pure business, you're dealing with the startups, what would be your recommendation? What this company should focus on the following 2-3 years, in the following 2-3 years? Startups or existing business, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I would say focus on your data. We've already talked about it. So really, if you want to integrate any type of LLMs, models, whatever you want to do that speeds up your work or build something really new, you need good data. And I think that's the most important stuff, because when you really start building anything in your infrastructure, in your IT infrastructure, you will stumble over that. You will see that, okay, that's gonna be probably the most problematic thing, the data, because we probably already know how models work, but they are fed with data, trained with it, and that's how we get the current models. That's the same thing is gonna happen in your company. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing. Then the second part is understand your business. Understand, and especially when I say business here, not only have an overview, but make sure you understand your infrastructure.
Okay.
You know where to integrate certain technologies, and what's the outcome of it.
Okay.
So is it really something that is beneficial for your business, or are you integrating technologies only because they're hyped and it's so cool to, have a chatbot that your employees can talk to. That's for sure very important, but think about how you want to do it, and especially if you're feeding your company's data, make sure you build the correct infrastructure, also on the security part, but also for the legal part.
Right. Do you think everyone should actually let's say a different way, every business should work with data more precisely, like each business right now so far?
Yes, absolutely. I think if you want to be competitive, and really understand where you're fitting in your market share and on the market, is really getting the data, especially or whatever. Even if you're a small company, you're a coffee shop, you really need to understand, is it correct how I'm doing the business if I want to survive? Is the location correct? Is the everything what's surrounding me should be kept inside numbers,
right?
And you need to understand that. And I think that's one of the most important things that you have to focus on.
Okay, we're getting more and more to the closure of our discussion today and our, let's say, the podcast session. I've got still a lot of questions, but I think that the most pre-selective would be, where do you see yourself? It's very classic question, I'm sorry for that. But I'm very curious, as the world is changing so fast, especially in your area, it's quite dynamic, it's extremely agile. What, from the personal and professional perspective, would you want to do in the following 5 years, let's say it that way? What is your, not goal, let's say dream?
That's a difficult question, because seeing how the world evolves right now, I'm not even sure how the next 5 years will be. But ending on an optimistic note, probably having my own project, my own business. I really would like, to be able to work, or when I'm building something, to be able to go through the whole process of making that baby, seeing it grow up, and be there from the first day to the hopefully not last day, who knows. But I really want to experiment that, and hopefully if it works out, then probably in 5 years I'm in that process. Hopefully for next years, 10, 15, 20.
It's definitely going to work out. And you know my opinion about that. I wish you all the luck on that. I think it's something that you should focus on, your personal professional development. And you've got all the skills for that, for sure. So I encourage you to do that. And I hope that we will have an opportunity to work together at one point, because it's really a lot of interesting things I can learn from you. And I think it's going to be a magical exchange. Well, if you want to add something, do you want to talk about some extra things, or you want to add to our conversation something? The floor is yours. Just step in.
So maybe I wanted to add something to one of our discussions. How I see, like, the next, how people will evolve, or the roles will evolve in the next years. And that's basically not the focus, even if we talked a lot about, technical parts and how important that is. Fortunately, I think technology will help us get rid of a lot of overhead, but soft skills, being able to communicate, really will make a difference. And that's the thing that goes to everybody, from technical people to business people that already have a lot of soft skills already, which is good.
Not all of them. Not all of them. Not at all.
Not all of them. But I think focus on empathy, on understanding people, understanding their minds, and trying to do a lot of cognitive effort, because I think AI is taking that from us.
Yeah, absolutely, that's for sure.
So focus on the bigger picture, understanding the whole thing, and not focus on little details, because probably AI will take that from us, and you don't have to focus on the little things anymore. So you really have to put your brain on understanding bigger things.
Absolutely, absolutely. I remember we were boomers. Well, boomers are we who were? No, I am a millennial, right? We were trained to actually analyze enormous amount of data and bring up your own opinion on that, right? The generation before boomers, our parents, they were literally just trained, I think, to learn a lot of information. Today, speaking of Zoomers, I believe they're just trained how to efficiently use the tools that they've got around. So it's absolutely different. I'm curious what's going to be the next generation. It's really, really curious, because absolutely different type of skills are needed nowadays than 20 years ago. That's really cool.
For sure.
Well, if you want our listener to remember one thing from this session, what it would be? Just one thing, like a summary of what message you want to send to the population, to the listeners. And I hope that many listeners are going to be there.
Ooh, that's difficult. I've heard something that kind of stuck with me, and I'll probably say it further to the listeners. So it's going to be probably related to AI, given the current setup and current state, but I really think it's applicable to any kind of technology, especially if you're scared about the disruption of it. Mm-hmm. If these technologies are raising the floor, you need to raise up the ceiling, and I think that's kind of important to keep in mind.
That's a great saying.
So you're still the brain, and you are the real intelligent being in this whole world, probably.
That's really nice. Okay, then I am wrapping it up. Iulia, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming. You're my debut, which I find really a right person to be as an opening one for this podcast. I wish you all the best and all the luck in all your beginnings. And I hope that, we're going to have another session maybe in a few years, and we will talk about your company eventually. That would be great.
Let's hope for that. And maybe I can also say some words. I think you're doing really an amazing job. And especially with this podcast, I don't think we, just for everybody here listening to us, I'm not the biggest fan of podcasts nowadays because, there are a lot of people doing this, and I cannot listen to everybody right now, and the ones that I'm really listening to are the old ones that are they're starting to repeat themselves, and I don't like them anymore either.
True also.
So what I wanted to say here is that it's very amazing that you do this especially for the European market, and given the current setup, what we are experiencing nowadays, I think it's very interesting to have such something for listeners.
Thank you.
To understand where we are and what people are really doing in our surroundings.
Thanks a lot. We're trying our best. And I will say thank you again. Goodbye, and subscribe for our channel, please, and wait for the future speakers. Thank you for your time, Iulia. That was
subscribe,
really, really nice. Thanks.